I really do a lot of thinking in this room. That thinking leads to my flashbacks, and those flashbacks lead to my retrospectives. This time, though, this flashback is more of a recap. A recap of all the crazy crap concocted last year.
I had just had a great year of retrospecting, but then, one day I woke up in a puppet's body. It sucked. It actually really sucked on ass. You feel like, I don't know, like you have an empty stomach all the time? Turns out the doofus known as the other RBD guy had kidnapped me for revenge. He was the other RBD guy whose initials stand for Rumors Be Damned. I'm just the RBD guy, whose initials stand for Retrospectives-Be Damned. In case you forgot. Anyway, back to my story. I sorta sent the other RBD guy to a burning building this one time. Well, it was Drunk Max who did it, but I ordered him to. The other RBD guy was really pissed off about that, and like I mentioned earlier, decided to have his revenge on me by having me change my physical form every couple of months during all of 2018. Eventually, I was restored to my original human form, except for that gnarly scar he gave me, when it turned out the other RBD guy was really just another RBD guy. His initials were just like mine and stood for Retrospectives-Be-Damned. Another RBD guy was from another dimension and had traveled through time and space to do all these things to me. He said it was a test to make me, I guess, better? He had gone through it, and he told me I had to go through it too.
I didn't know what to make of it until I had a eureka moment. Before another RBD guy left, he told me I had to take it back to the beginning. What better way to go back to the beginning than a history of my game rooms? The true beginning of my show. And that's what we'll be covering. The 3 game rooms we've seen in all my retrospectives thus far. So without further ado, let's get started.
My first game room. Well, it was actually my bedroom, while I was living with my parents. It was only shown in my first episode, the pilot about demo discs. It had some advantages. Since I was living in a big house, I had big space, which is why you saw me go outside more in that first episode. On the flip side, my game room was really small. It was also really disorganized, and I didn't even have my older games on display. They were in storage boxes, waiting for the right time to emerge. Only my current generation games were out and about, which made capturing footage for older games a bit more cumbersome to do. My wife, who was my fiancée at the time, lived with me, which meant our room was really tightly spaced. I couldn't really host many people in my room. Whenever I did have company, we'd hang out in other places of my parents' house. But whenever I wanted to show a bunch of people a new game, or I wanted to have a Smash Brothers tournament, we were all scrunched in my game room like sardines. In fact, the idea to make the first episode about demo discs was birthed from me finding my old demo discs while trying to clean up the mess that was my game room at the time. My bed took up a lot of space in the room. Roughly like 70% of my room. So it was sort of like a big table for me. I recorded on it, showcased things on it, and so on. Of course, I have to mention my TV. My TV at the time was a 32-inch 3D 1080p television. I only had my current generation consoles hooked up to it, which at the time were PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and Wii U. All my other consoles were in storage with the older games, also biding their time to rise. The TV was neat though. It was the 5th TV I owned and supported 3D Blu-rays, so watching movies was really fun, and my wife and I, along with my sister, would often do that in 3D.
Overall, I really did enjoy those days. Life was simpler when I was living with my parents, and it allowed me to really be able to focus my free time on my hobbies almost exclusively. That being said, I love my current life. Not too long ago, this wouldn't be the case. I used to long for the past up until pretty recently, but now, not as much. Now, I wouldn't change my life at all. I love my family, and I love who I am. Well, maybe I would change those student loans and credit card debts I have. Yeah, that'd be nice. My game/bedroom was a place to hang my hat that felt right and comfortable. But it sure as hell wasn't a place to entertain anyone. It was too damn small, and my wife and I knew that. The reason that room was only featured in the first episode was due to my wife and I moving out of my parents' house shortly after I released the episode. We would find a house that was perfect for us, and that's when I got a real game room. Classic game